Hello everyone, welcome to 8th lecture of Engineering Geology. In the last lecture, we discussed structure and texture of igneous rocks and origin of sedimentary rocks. Now we come to classification of sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are classified as residual rocks, detrital rocks, chemically formed rocks and organically formed rocks. So firstly we look at residual rocks. From the name itself we can define this rock. Residual means these rocks are formed by residual matter. Let's understand the process in detail. Any rock, when subjected to alternating dry and wet climates under a chemically active and oxidizing environment over a considerable length of time, undergoes thorough decay and decomposition, due to alternating dry and wet climates with the involvement of chemically active and oxidizing environment. These rocks undergoes thorough decay and decomposition. As a consequence, all readily soluble as well as difficult to dissolve matter is dissolved and leached. All the soluble as well as difficult to dissolve material, these material leaves the rock. They dissolved and leached means leave the rock. This ultimately leaves behind chemically inert and insoluble residual matter. When these soluble as well as difficult to dissolve material leaves the rock, then only chemically inert and insoluble residual material will be left. This makes up a group of sedimentary rocks which is known as residual rocks. Clear? Laterite, bauxite, terra rosa are of residual origin. These are the example of residual rocks. Next type of sedimentary rock is detrital rock. Due to prolonged disintegration, rocks are broken down into smaller and smaller particles which are known as sediments. This we know. When large bodies of rocks are reduced to a convenient size in this manner, they are transported mechanically. Thus, rivers and streams transport rock matter both physically or mechanically and chemically. The physically transported rock matters are the visible fragments like pebbles, gravel, sand, silt and clay. Based on the rock particles, based on their size, defined as pebbles, gravel, sand, silt and clay. The pebbles having a large size rock particle, less than that we define it as gravel and so on. They are having a particular range of size. And chemically transported rock matters are invisible matters like dissolved chlorides, carbonates of calcium, magnesium, ferrous, iron and alkalis. Of these, mechanically transported sediments undergo deposition whenever favorable conditions occur. They settle down. The mechanically transported sediments like pebbles, gravel, sand, silt and clay settle down. These subsequently cemented or compacted to give rise to another group of secondary rocks which are called detrital rocks. Conglomerates, sandstones and shales are the example of detrital rocks. In case of detrital rocks, sediments are transported from their original place. Whereas in case of residual rocks, the sediments remains at their place and after cementation and compaction they form the sedimentary rocks. This is the difference between residual rock and detrital rock. Next is chemically formed rocks. The rest of the river transported matter which is carried as solution, is also deposited sometimes under favorable conditions due to chemical processes like precipitation and evaporation. Okay, as we know, earlier we have seen the river transport the rock matters uh, which are having visible fragments as well as invisible fragments. Okay, when visible fragments like pebbles, gravels, sand, silt, and clay get deposited, then they form tetratal rocks. But sometimes, under favorable conditions, when dissolved matters like dissolved chlorides, carbonates, etc., dissolved chlorides and carbonates of calcium and magnesium get deposited by chemical processes like precipitation and evaporation, then subsequently they form sedimentary rocks which are called chemically formed rocks. Limestones, dolomites, salt deposits belong to this category. Next is organically formed rocks. Under favorable conditions, a part of the dissolved matter is extracted by plants and trees. These plants and trees may subsequently form coal deposits. Okay. When the dissolved matters are separated out from the plants and trees, then these plants and trees form coal deposited. The remaining dissolved materials ultimately reach the sea or ocean and get extracted by various marine organisms to develop their hard parts. Clear? The when dissolved matters are extracted by plants and trees, these plants and trees form coal deposit, and the dissolved matter reach the sea or ocean, and these dissolved materials are utilized by the various marine organisms in order to develop their hard parts. These hard parts, after the death of organism, accumulate over the sea floor and become shale limestones, oges, etc. Okay, these kind of rocks are formed. Such a group of sedimentary deposits which are formed out of active involvement of plants and other organisms are called organic deposits. Clear? Now let's see the different type of structures associated with sedimentary rocks. Stratification and lamination structure. The sedimentary rocks are bedded in nature. A bed is generally homogeneous in composition, texture and color. Okay, in this figure you can see this is one bed, this is another bed. Okay, what is bed? These are homogeneous in composition, texture and color. Each bed is bounded by a plane of separation both below and above. These are called bedding planes. The different layers of beds may vary in grain size, mineral composition, color, texture, etc., depending upon the environment and formation at the site. This feature is called stratification. Okay. Sometimes there will be thin layers within the bed. Such paper thin bed is called a lamina, and the feature is called lamination. Clear? Next is graded bedding structure. In some beds, at the bottom, there will be bigger particles and very fine particles at the top. There is a gradual decrease in the size of particles from bottom to top. This phenomena is called graded bedding. Okay, in this figure we can see this is a bed. At the bottom there is a large size of grains, and as we move in upward direction, the size of grains is decreasing. Okay, there is a fine grains at the top, and the grains with large size are at the bottom. Current bedding structure. Generally, the sedimentary beds are parallel to one another. Sometimes the beds are deposited slightly inclined to the major bedding plane because of change in the velocity and direction of flow stream. This structure is called as current bedding. Okay, in this figure we can see these are the major bedding planes and these are the minor bedding planes. Okay, sometimes what happens, the beds, these are the beds, they are not horizontal, but they are slightly inclined, and this is because of the change in velocity and direction of flow of stream. Such kind of structure is called current bedding. Next is ripple marks structure. They are undulations or wavy structure formed on the surface of loose sediments due to action of wind, wave in a shallow water body. It is also called wave marks. Okay, in this figure we can see these are the undulations or waves. These are formed because of the action of wind and the wave formed in a shallow water body. Mud cracks structure. These are common structural features of fine grained sedimentary rocks. Okay, fine grained means the particle size is very small. Okay, the development of mud cracks is because of the drying of huge masses of fine grained sediments under subaerial conditions. Subaerial conditions where there is a problem of availability of water. In that region, what happens, due to drying of the loose sediments, due to drying of the sediments of fine grains, there are cracks develops. Okay, and these cracks look like a mud crack. It is also called sun cracks since they are formed due to the effect of solar heat. Tracks and trails, rain prints structure. Some of the very minor structures observed in sedimentary rocks are tracks and trails, rain prints. The movement of organisms on the surface of loose sediments develop a marking or impression and is called tracks and trails. On the other hand, rain prints are formed on the top surface of loose sediments due to impact of drops of rainwater. Look at this figure. In this figure we can see the prints of raindrops on the loose sediments of rocks. Okay, and these prints may be of the impression of organism. Okay, when they move over these loose sediments. Now we come to texture of sedimentary rocks. Firstly, look at clastic texture. Grains or clast do not interlock but rather are piled together and cemented. Okay, here you can recognize each grain or clast because they are not interlocked, they are just piled. Okay, boundaries of individual grains may be another grain, cement, or empty pore space. In the boundary of the particle there may be another grain, cementing material, or maybe empty pore space. Overall rock is generally porous and not very dense. Microclastic texture. This texture is the same as the clastic texture except that the clasts are not visible to the eyes. Okay, the difference is only that the clast or the grains are very small that we cannot see from our naked eye. Bioclastic texture. The texture is similar to clastic texture except that all of the clast or grains are fossils. Crystalline texture. Crystals are visible and form an interlocking network. Okay, in this case what happens, the crystals are interlocked each other, means we cannot identify each grain or crystal separately because these are interlocked to each other. Unlike igneous crystalline texture, however, sedimentary crystalline texture are typically formed from one mineral throughout the entire rock. Microcrystalline texture. No crystals are visible, but the rock is composed of interlocking microscopic crystals. Such rocks are dense and typically non-porous. The difference between the crystalline and microcrystalline texture is that the size of the crystals are very small. Okay? These crystals are not visible in this kind of texture. Suitability of sedimentary rocks as engineering materials. Now we will see why sedimentary rocks can be or cannot be used as engineering materials. If sandstones are well compacted, means their porosity is less and of grains are angular, they are the best and highly satisfactory for all civil engineering purposes, such as at the site of foundation. They can be used as building stones, can be used for railways, and also they can be used for tunneling. Sails, when saturated with water under pressure, are likely to produce lubricating material, making a slippery base for overburden. Therefore, they are unsuitable at the site of foundation. Okay. In this figure you can see this is the sail. Okay, when this rock comes in contact with water under a pressure, the surface of the sail rock becomes slippery because they act as a lubricating material. Okay, and we put a load over it, it cannot sustain that load. That's why these rocks are unsuitable at the site of foundation. Sails are known for their facility and also one of the causes for landslides occurrence. Thus, from different viewpoints, sails are very unsuitable for civil engineering purposes. Limestones are suitable as road metal, railway ballast, and as construction material, but may not be very durable. Okay, the structures made by limestones, the life of structures made by limestones are not very long. As slabs, they are very popular in many places, both as roofing and flooring. Okay, they can be used as a slabs like roofing and flooring. Limestones are used in industries like cement and steel. Okay, in cement and steel industries, limestones are used as a raw material. These are the typical pictures of sandstone, shale, and limestone. In the next lecture, we will discuss metamorphic rock.